This is a true story. About 3, 4 weeks ago, we had a projector problem. Server wasn't hooking up or whatever. And so I called Karen. I'm up there trying to do it. And I said, you got to get here. So she runs in. She knows the drill. She grabs a bunch of snacks, walks in there, goes, "Hey, it's trivia time." And, and, and this was, I'm not exaggerating. This is embarrassing, but it took us over an hour to fix the problem,
Oh
and
no.
most of the people were still there. There was like 40 people there, and they were,
That's a skill.
they were having fun with Karen. And this is the true story. At the end of the night, a couple of the older people, they went and got like flowers and brought it back to Karen because they knew they were like cheering us on. They knew that we were trying to get the thing going. They know she's trying to stall, and they didn't leave. And
Mhm.
so that's a beautiful thing. I
Yeah.
mean, and
It's
that only comes by making friends. So.
This is the Off the Break Podcast, your podcast dedicated to current movie theater news, operations, and insights from the people that book the movies.
Welcome back to another episode of Off the Break Podcast. I'm Kyle, and joining me today is Shayla.
hello.
And today we have a special guest. It's Steve Anderson from the Avon Theater and the Ideal Playhouse Theater, on top of many other businesses that I'm sure he is willing to share with us today. So, Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Good to be here, Shayla, Kyle. It's good to meet you both, and let's get into it.
Awesome. All
Terrific.
right. So I just wanted to go over, you book a lot of like concerts, movies and events and everything like that. What are your criteria for choosing those live events and concerts?
Yeah, I probably should have given a little background. I came to the theater ownership business via a career in entertainment, more on the production side. So I started in Chicago doing commercials and music videos and corporate videos, and then I went out to LA and I worked in movies and TV, primarily as a producer, director behind the scenes, but sometimes as an actor. And musician and so forth. So when we bought the theaters, it always been kind of a dream of mine to have a theater. And we just kind of basically told the town here, we're in a pretty small town, one of the fastest growing micro cities in America, Heber Valley, Utah. And we basically just told the public, hey, we're going to throw everything out there or I shouldn't say the public, we told our friends and family, we're just going to put everything on the stage and on the screen that we sort of like and know what sort of how to produce to the best of our ability, and we'll see what sticks. And so, if I'm honest, we've tried a whole bunch of things, and I think we're only about 2.5 years into this, so we're still trying to kind of narrow down what that criteria is.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and so, to whet the appetite, we can talk about them. But we've tried music concerts, wedding receptions. Kids clubhouse, dinner and a movie, um, Polynesian like cultural events. We've had performers, and so I suppose at some point we should probably talk about how we like renovated the place to be able to do all those things. I guess too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So are you really involved with the production of all of those things, or do you kind of do like theater rent outs or kind of a bit of both?
A bit of both. Yeah. Most of the time, like just to kind of launch it, we said, "Hey, let's captain most of these things." So I've literally called on my old bandmates and friends who have bands and bands I've worked with and said, can you come do a show with us? And then I've been everything from tech crew to the roadie to selling tickets, whatever. And then we've also done musical theater. And so my wife has been our musical director, and I've been the director of I think we're on our seventh show right now in 2 years.
Oh, nice.
Big productions, and like we did Little Mermaid, and we did Guys and Dolls, and so big casts, and so we've been very hands-on. But it's been kind of fun the last few months. We've actually started getting some of the other local theater groups to come and say, "Hey, I see your space. Can we use it?" And we're like, "Please, give us
Yeah.
give us some time off." So that's been pretty rewarding. We've been able to step back and let others play in the space, and so we've had dance recitals And I'll have to explain how we fit that into a theater, but we've had a dance recital. Um, we're having this weekend, we're doing a rodeo pageant. We're a rodeo town, so they're
Wow.
doing the Miss. I don't think we're gonna have horses in there. I hope not, but I haven't
Sounds like a
asked.
mess. That's
It,
probably important to ask.
you may want to
Yeah,
check on that. I agree.
yeah. A year ago, our town has a famous grizzly bear that has been in a lot of movies.
Oh wow, okay.
There's the Seuss's here. They have this place where they raise wild animals that they use in movies, and
Mm,
so they rented out the place with a group, a wildlife preservation group, um, last fall, um, and there was a moment at which I all of a sudden stopped and thought, "Oh my goodness, are they going to bring a grizzly bear in here?" So I just winked at him and said, "We do have a stage entrance if a large bear wants to walk through there." But he didn't come. So,
Oh,
oh,
but
that's a
but
shame.
yeah, I know. Um, so yeah, so that's been fun, and we've had different groups starting to rent it out, and I would love to do more of that. And I think it's kind of like the Field of Dreams, quote: "If you build it, they will come." And
yeah.
and so we literally just kind of had this vision for what these theaters could look like. They're old historic theaters, by the way. I don't know how many people out there. I'm assuming a lot of us are dealing with single screen or we have two theaters that are a block apart from each other, both single screen,
Okay.
and one was built in 1914, which we believe is the oldest working like theater in Utah, I think,
Hmm.
or really close to it. And then the other one was built in 48. And it's actually, this is a little sidebar. I don't think I've ever told you this, Shayla, but it is the birth of surround sound. So the guy who invented surround sound for the world lived here in Heber Valley, and he had a little studio across the street from the Avon Theater, and he would go over there and implement stuff and try it out, is what I've been told.
That
So
is really
that's kind of
cool.
fun.
So,
That's great history.
yeah,
Yeah.
what a cool
But
tidbit. You should have that on a plaque somewhere.
yeah, I know. I know. We'll get to it.
The horses situation first,
I
Shayla. We
know,
got to figure that
seriously.
out.
We
Right.
gotta get barn
Right.
animals out of the theater first.
Yeah.
Or in. I don't know, depending on your stance.
Well, you, Steve, are kind of hitting this entry point of movie theaters very well to where post-pandemic movie theaters are in somewhat converting into being more of a entertainment space, such as what your theaters are doing. Do you think that the town is responding to that very well? At least it sounds like it's responding to it well because there's so many theater groups or other sources of entertainment that seem to really be coming to ask and request for your space.
Yeah, it's a great question. And if I, try and pull the curtains open, which is what we're doing today, I mean, behind the scenes, like I wish everyone would embrace it more. There is definitely some old school mentality here that like, what are you doing? This is a movie theater, you
Hmm.
know. What we're finding is that most groups, every time we have a new group, like the rodeo pageant this weekend, whatever, when they come in, they usually bring with them a bunch of people who haven't been to the theater in, a long time, and we get that similar approach of, wow, like, wow, this place is really something else,
Hmm.
and then they'll come back to the movies too, is what we're kind of finding. A lot of people say, they kind of gave up on this little one screen place and they go to the megaplex a half hour away or whatever. Or they don't come to movies at all, right? That's another topic for another day,
Yeah.
right? And maybe I know we're going to go on some tangents, so I apologize. But one of the things my wife and I felt as we went into this was, and this is again a bigger topic, but we said, it felt to us like most of the movie theaters are with the seats and everything are trying to make everyone feel like you're in your living room or you're in your basement and it's luxury and it's and we were like,
Hmm.
our theory, well, to be honest, it was a kind of a budget thing. We're like, we don't have the money to put in all these big recliners, and so we just kind of had this hunch that I think what people miss is having a couple hundred people with them laughing out loud and enjoying a community event together instead of. And so we
Hmm.
said, well, everyone's already got their living room, so we didn't really do a whole lot with seats. We did replace seats. We actually got some used seats, but everybody thinks they're new. we did
Yeah.
the, we did the reservation, and people keep saying, "Thank you so much for replacing, the seats or whatever." One of the theaters we didn't, and we go, yeah, sure, glad you like them.
Yeah.
The other one we actually put in used seats, and then up front, this is a funny small town thing. We put up Adirondack chairs. I don't know if I told you this, but we have fake grass around the front of the theater, and we put Adirondack chairs, like patio
Oh,
chairs or
Oh,
whatever.
sure,
yeah.
sure, sure.
And
Okay.
so when people say, where are your recliners, we go, they're right up there. Yeah, they're
Hmm.
Yep.
and some people love them, other people. So I guess to summarize, to answer your question, some people seem to really love what we're doing, and they get that we're trying to preserve these old theaters and the history, and we have to evolve to attract a new audience and to stay relevant. And quite frankly, to pay the bills, like the concerts and some of the events we've done have made
Hmm.
more money than we make with the movies and things. Um, and other people are maybe a little confused by it. I do get the calls and the dropped hints often that we should just do things like they've always been done around here.
Sure.
And
Stick to
and
what
I
it is.
smile. Yeah. I get in trouble for not having ads in the newspaper here, and I'm like, we have a newspaper.
Oh.
Um, we're not updating the voicemail like it's supposed to be. I'm sure other theater owners experience all that, and so we try and have all our information on our website, and so that's been a whole thing, like trying to get everybody to just go to the website where it's current, um, instead of getting it in the. So
Hmm.
yeah,
We're
um,
moving forward.
yeah, and trying to adjust, and quite frankly, I mean, evaluating really on a monthly basis, like, okay, what is increasing our profit, our net profit, um, and who is it attracting, and all those things.
So what have you found to be like the most successful thing you've done and the least successful thing you've done?
That is a great question. I would say we've done really well with concerts, for the most part. We've hit or missed a few, um, and and I think to me that's more about the taste, right? It's the figuring out what our demographic is and what era of music they like.
Yeah.
Sure.
Uh, to be blunt, we have a lot of people that like 70s music that have been coming. We missed with an 80s concert, and I quickly learned that that isn't my crowd yet.
Oh
That
no.
was that was kind of part of my era, so I thought they were there, but they weren't. And then,
Buddy,
funny
what kind
enough,
of 80s music?
so I brought in a U2 band from Canada, one of the best U2
Oh,
bands. I'm a
yep.
big U2 fan.
Hmm. Yeah.
Came through. I thought everyone's going to come, and it was like crickets. And I was
Oh,
like,
shoot.
really?
Oh.
Dang.
And but then on the flip side, we're doing like a 50s concert. So I went too far the other way. We did Sinatra, that worked out really well, and we have a house band which I play in as well. And so we backed up Frank Sinatra, we backed up a Shania Twain uh, tribute artist, we backed up an Elvis. So
Hmm.
we've done quite a few, but we did a 50s thing, and then the feedback I got was, oh, that's too far.
Yeah.
60s, 70s is our jam right now. So
Yeah.
that's
That's
that's what's
funny.
been working for us. I don't know if that's every town, but that's my town right now.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And I think that will evolve, right? I've heard the same thing about
Yeah.
musical theater. There's kind of a group that still loves the classics, but that group may be, moving on, and now you got to be relevant with, a different era of musicals.
It's always
And
playing catch up.
Yeah.
yeah,
It seems like.
yeah, similar to
Like
movies, I'm
gambling.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
with the
Did you
movies.
say like gambling?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
gambling.
Or
I feel that
everybody
with the
supposed to like
movies
horse
too.
betting. Yeah, which
Yeah.
horse is going
Horse
to win?
betting.
Um,
So funny.
and that's actually fun. I mean, most of my career I was a producer for hire, and I always kind of said to myself, I wanted to get in a situation where I made my living by making creative stuff, and then like going straight to the public with it, if that makes sense, instead of working for
Hmm.
a studio or something.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm getting to do, like on a daily basis. I mean, you see around me, this is our little, recording studio here. We've got a little television studio in there where we make sets and we rehearse and then we film stuff. Um, and so, anyway, on a personal note, it's been very rewarding to be able to see that. I know that's probably not in everybody's wheelhouse out there. And so, for what it's worth, you know, we we've been approached by some other theaters to sort of, hey, what can you teach us and or consult to, maybe help us renovate our space to be able to accommodate concerts and so there's definitely that's a fun subject maybe to whet the appetite there. We've taken the two theaters and we kind of looked at their era and then we made two different kinds of stages. So we did build out a stage at both theaters and the one that was built in the in the teens, 1914, we kind of went back to the golden age of Hollywood, and we built like a proscenium, and like a traditional stage with dressing rooms and all that. We only had to take out 7 rows of seats to do this, and it's intimate, it's cute, but it even with the movies. Now the movies are shown in kind of a proscenium view, and some people love that. They think it's kind of like a nod to the old way cinema used to be, and that was the design idea. The other one, built in 48, we have where they did the surround sound invention and all that. We have a huge screen in there, and we didn't want to get rid of, compromise that at all. And so we built more of an open stage in there without a proscenium, without a backstage. And so that one's like really good. It's a much simpler design, and it's been great for like open air concerts, the dance recitals, things like that. And it's actually a wider stage. And anyway, so we have experience, and yet we're hoping to be pioneers, I hope, for ourselves and other theaters, across the country of like, what can we do with these cool spaces and preserve that history.
What's the most unique or fun thing you have in your theater that you put in right now?
Those lawn chairs in the lawn.
I know. That's a clever idea. I like that.
That's a money-saving idea. That was like, how do we get the lean back in the chair experience without buying,
You gave him the drive-in experience indoors.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did, right?
Yeah. That was kind of the concept there. At both of our theaters, we're the reputation we have is kind of becoming that we have this surround experience. So in both of our theaters, we actually took out the old side curtains, and a lot of my career in design has been doing what they call projection mapping. Have you heard of that? It's like the Disney castle shows where they project on the building and all the colors and it falls apart and all that. So we've been doing that for years and doing it on rides, like roller coaster rides. We won the best new ride in Europe back in 2011 for our work on the Van Helsing roller coaster at Movie Park, Germany.
Oh, that's sick.
Weird side tangent. But anyway, we've done haunted houses, we've done Christmas thing, makeovers and all that. So with that background, we said, okay, let's at least do that. We know how to do that world. And so we have projectors that project on the sidewalls. And we use that. We use it in 3 ways. We use it for concerts. Obviously, it makes the whole atmosphere. We use it for musical theater. So if we're going under the sea, like the whole place feels like you're underwater. But again, this would relate to most people. Just for movies, when you walk into our drive-in movie theater that you figured out, we have like palm trees or we have mountains on the side. And then we don't keep it on the whole show, but it's for like the pre-show. And so, we have honking car horns, and we have all the sound effects to go with that. We have a star thing on the ceiling, and like when we did Star Wars, we had like a special event for one of them. I can't remember now, but anyway, we had the whole star field on the side, and so I would say that's probably the most unique thing that we've done. And by the way, what we haven't done yet is we haven't done much of anything to the outside.
Oh,
which
okay.
The next step.
That's I'm no expert in that other than I know that there's organizations. I've been told there's money out there for doing those kind of renovations and things. But my wife and I had a little nest egg at the beginning, and we said we can either start with the outside, and then people will be like, "Wow, it looks different." And they'll come in and they'll go, "It feels about the same." or we can start from the inside and work our way out and try and earn it. And that was kind of that was the integrity thing. We thought, well, let's just start doing cool stuff inside, and then hopefully, if the money flows enough, we can renovate the outside to match what the cool stuff is on the inside. Because that's the other thing that we're struggling with here, is we're doing cool things on the inside, and once in a while I have heard the comment that, well, people driving by don't see anything different, and so they're waiting for that, which I don't know if we could just solve with a banner that says, like, the inside is cooler.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Grand
Well, I
reopening.
will say,
I don't know, but anyway, yeah.
yeah, that might work. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've thought of it, but have you tried your projection setups to also work on the outside for like a big movie event or even concert event? Is that possible for your locations?
Yeah, we've talked about it many times. We're on a very busy, both of our theaters are on a very busy highway. And so I've talked to the businesses across the street and said, if I was to mount a projector on top of your roof, and project that over, would that, but I've actually worried that we would just get in trouble with the local authorities for blinding traffic,
Oh,
So
They
sure.
have a lot of city ordinance about that in most
yeah,
places.
Right.
haven't tried it yet, but
Be
we
careful
have.
about that when
We've
writing
done
your
some
blog
like
posts.
lighting. Oh, so I didn't mean to interrupt you. What did you say,
No,
Shayla?
you're okay. I just had
Oh,
to tell people about that when I was writing my blog post because there's like super strict city ordinances about doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
Yeah. But go
I'll
ahead.
bet. We've done like light on our building, and
Mhm.
colored
Mhm.
lights at Christmas or things like that. But yeah, I've been a little afraid. We're still the new guys in town,
Yeah.
trying to fly under the radar as far as city ordinances go.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, what
Anyway,
are ideas then if you're willing to share on what you're hoping to do with the outside? Like, is it just making it look more modern on the outside, or do you still want to have like the classic looks of the time period that those movie theaters were first built, or anything else they have?
yeah, I think play up the style that we've gone with on the inside. So the two I mentioned,
Mhm.
and we found historic pictures of what the theater looked like back in the day, and even black and white from the teens. At the Fourth of July parade, there's a great shot of it, and
Mhm.
so basically we want to restore it. The city was nice enough to come around and put a plaque out front that says in front of our one theater, "This is historic," and so forth. Um,
Yeah, that's great.
and yeah, that just showed up one day. That was really cool. But yeah, in my opinion, if I was an owner, and I hope we're addressing things that are relevant to other people,
Hmm.
I would look at what is my town, what's our history, what is this theater known for, what can we bring out that would make people want to have that warm fuzzy feeling in our
Hmm.
building. Um, and so that's what we did. We just kind of went back, tried to recreate it. So on the outside, we would do the same thing. We have designs of what it will look like. Um,
Yeah.
with the 50s one more neon and bright colors, and with the other one kind of more classic, you know, um, yeah. Anyway, um, and turn of the century kind of a look.
Hmm.
And but yeah, I think, you know, um, like I said, I mean, yeah, you asked a question. Sorry. I was going to go off on a tangent.
Did
Let's
you
keep
run into
thinking.
any like major learning lessons when you were renovating the theaters?
Never trust a contractor.
Oh, oh.
That's not nice. I'm
Sorry.
just kidding. No, we just recently built a house, and then which is where I'm at right now with our little home studio, and it was a custom thing that went way over. Then we hired a contractor to do the first theater, and that went way over. They're beautiful people, but I think it's kind of, I didn't know that. It's kind of common knowledge in the industry that everything's going to go over, and it
Hmm.
did. And so when we did our third theater, we actually did not hire a contractor, for the most part, other than a couple of, like electricity and some things that need to real specific. But like building our stage and things, I just went back to my theater crew, my set builders, and said,
Hmm.
you know, what can we learn from what our first experience was, and what can we do? And so now I got this great team of guys that, you know, um, that can build things out that you don't necessarily, in some cases, you don't necessarily need permits for, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
it's not like with the second theater, we didn't necessarily like the first theater, we gutted it all the way down to the studs, and then we learned that once you do that, then like bathrooms have to be redone, and I mean it was a major overhaul. With the second
Yeah.
one, we sort of learned our lesson and said, okay, we're not going to we're just going to repaint. We're going to hang some new curtains. We're going to, build places
Yeah.
that don't affect the flow of traffic, so the exits are still preserved, and things that were a lot. So I would say that's probably the biggest lesson that we're learning still. And with these old buildings, you got to be prepared. I mean, there's all kinds of things that happen from you know mice control to
Yeah.
Yeah.
air conditioning going out to swamp coolers on the roof that need to be serviced and
Oh
everything in
man.
between. So I am becoming a handyman.
Well, I think that does come from a very reliable place for other movie theaters. I can't tell you how many times that we've heard theaters that we've talked to that say they have to close, unfortunately, at like a busy part of the year because their AC units become completely shot and have to be replaced. Like it's things that people don't think about, not just from a business owner standpoint, but from a movie owner standpoint of like it's still a business and you have to, keep up with the maintenance. You maybe even do it yourself at times.
Yeah, definitely. I hear a lot of complaints about heating and cooling
Mhm.
theaters because it's just such a big open space.
And they're also a lot of them are older buildings too, such as
Yeah.
yours, Steve. I mean, so much has changed with properties that is there's just going to be so much overhaul that you unfortunately have to deal with, I bet.
Yeah, there is. I mean, and I think anyone who owns an old building, there's a point at which you figure out little niches that make your old building still work.
Yeah.
Hmm.
For example, we last summer when the AC went out in the lobby, I knew that it was the breaker upstairs, and I just would go and do it. It's probably not like the best, but it was working.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I had to call the old owner last night, and I said, "The lobby's hot again. I can't remember what we did last year. What did we do?" And he goes, "It's that breaker upstairs." So I called my employee and I said, "Can you go upstairs, find a little breaker?" And he goes, "Oh, it clicked. It's great." And then today I went in, the lobby was still warm, and I said, "Wait, what happened?" And I realized I forgot to tell my employee to then put the cool on auto, like downstairs on the
Yeah.
thermostat. So I'm like, so I think the more you babysit these old buildings, you learn,
Yeah.
okay, if I turn that light on and then that one, it all works, or
Yeah. Do you have an SOP for your light switches?
exactly. Yeah,
That's funny.
it's a love
So,
hate.
yeah.
One other quick story I'll tell you. We did have
Yeah.
this is like the Berenstein Bears, if you remember them. Look, it's kind of like how not to do it. But so we had flooding at the one theater, the ideal, and it would come right, during a show. And to make a long story short, I don't know anything about plumbing. But when I called the first guy, it was very expensive to have him come in the middle of a show. We'd have the music part going, and I go, okay, go now, and then he would, and then I'd be like, shh, music stopped, and
No.
so we got done with the lobbies flooding, the women's bathrooms flooding, and this happened. I'm sad to embarrassed to say, but it happened like several times, and
Mm.
I was like, I can't afford to keep hiring this guy, so I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna learn what it takes to not all about plumbing, but at least how to do what he did. So I went and I bought some systems, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos. Well, after about my fifth try, my wife was like pulling her hair out of her head, literally crying while we're in the
Mhm.
lobby, during the show, trying to do the same routine again with shop vacs, and she's like, "I don't think you know what you're doing." And I go, "Apparently not." And so so then I called a really reputable big company who finally came out and they ran scopes, and anyway, $30,000 later, we found out that there was a leaky pipe that I could have never solved, nor could the other
Mhm.
local guy. That was just refilling up with dirt every time. So they had to like replumb the hole underneath the seat. So,
Wow.
it's a
Oh
love
my
hate
goodness.
relationship with these old buildings,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you can't
definitely.
do it all yourself. That's
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
But
good. Know when to quit.
yeah.
No one to give it to another person.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes you need the, yeah.
there's clearly still other parts of the business that you have been able to do yourself anyway, by the sounds of it. Just with the upkeep you've been doing throughout the inside, the projection stuff is very impressive. Like your background, luckily, it's just a combination of things to where you can have these nice solutions that work for like an entertainment standpoint.
Well, I appreciate that. I think we've, like I said, for me personally, I feel like um, might as well use the experience you have, and so like again, my wife is a lover of books. She's been in lots of book clubs and things, and so she's trying to do women's groups and booking of movies and discussions, and we do
Yeah.
have a little sweet shop attached to it, kind of an ice cream, and so she's doing things with that to try and just utilize her interests. And I feel like, I mean, I'm a big Star Wars buff, so we've had some fun with Star Wars events. I think you take your personality into it, and
Mhm.
we're not doing it on purpose, but people are starting to come because they know us and they kind of like our style. So some of these other events that we're doing may not. You can't be all things to everyone, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so I try and bring in bands that I do like because then I can passionately, go up and so we don't do it at all our movies, but all of our live shows, Karen and I, my wife and I, always get up and introduce the show, thank the audience for being there. Sometimes we do a little trivia, sometimes we make fun of each other or whatever,
Hmm.
but we get them to feel like they're part of the family.
Yeah.
And I will say sadly, the times we've done it for some movie events too, like we do Muppet Christmas Carol every year now, and
That's cute.
yeah, we do like a treat with it, a themed treat,
Yeah.
and we have Santa come at the end, and I think last year we had like a puppet that talked to the kids before the show and stuff,
Mhm.
and but the other time that everyone gets to know us is when there is a projector problem,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
we only live 5 minutes from our theater, so it doesn't happen very often. But Karen's getting really good at like making. This is a true story. About 3-4 weeks ago, we had a projector problem. Server wasn't hooking up or whatever, and so I called Karen. I'm up there trying to do it, and I said, "You got to get here." So she runs in. She knows the drill. She grabs a bunch of snacks, walks in there, goes, "Hey, it's trivia time," and 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 this was I'm not exaggerating. This is embarrassing, but it took us over an hour to fix the problem.
Oh
And
no.
most of the people were still there. There was like 40 people there. And they were,
That's a skill.
they were having fun with Karen. And this is the true story. At the end of the night, a couple of the older people, they went and got like flowers and brought it back to Karen because they knew they were like cheering us on. They knew that we were trying to get the thing going. They know she's trying to stall and they didn't leave. And
Hmm.
so that's a beautiful thing. I
Yeah.
mean, and
Kids.
that only comes by making friends. So
Hmm.
someone that taught me the business or took time out to talk to me, it was a theater out in Savannah, Georgia. I don't know if it's part of the Clark family, but called the Mars Theater. And the owner of it, she said to me, "Hey, I'll give you an hour," and she talked to me, and that was one of the things she told me was you know respond to every Facebook post, make these people feel like they're family.
Hmm.
And I think that if you love the space and you love what you're doing, I think it just kind of happens naturally.
Yeah. I think that we talk about that in the office, that showmanship is kind of gone from movie theaters now. And so it's nice to hear that you're bringing it back.
Well, I yeah, I hope it translates into a successful thing and we're still in the infant stages, so I do feel like we probably won't be able to sustain all of the things that we've started, which is
Hmm.
kind of hard. In the film industry, we call it killing your darlings. You might
Hmm.
be
No.
writing a script and you really want to hang out of that character, but it's just not working. That's kind of where we're in this stage right now. I'll be honest. I mean, again, pulling back the curtain, the musical theater, we're on our seventh production now, and they've
Hmm.
never done more than break even. Some of them have lost
Yeah.
money, some of them have broken even, maybe made a squidge of money. It feels really good. We're loving it. The audiences are loving it. Um, but yeah, it's not been the moneymaker. And so stay tuned. I don't know, maybe in a future podcast we'll be able to tell you why it finally worked. But
Yeah.
Would love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, in this town, there's several other theater groups, which I think is part of why it's not necessarily working here because people already have their favorite theater that they go to. We have quite a bit of community theater in Utah. But then to your first question, one of those groups actually started renting out our space from us. And so I think anyway, we'll see how that works. But that was one of the ones where we actually made money because they just paid us and they used the space. The audience didn't care that, they got us another show. So
yeah.
Sure.
Well, it's great that you're still opening yourself up to allowing people that need to express creativity or their passions to be able to get to do that, even though the outcomes of it probably aren't quite there that you would like yet. It still is good from a community standpoint that in time maybe that will build to better outcomes. But at the very least, from a creative level and the community level, I do think like there is some worth to that. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
For sure.
I think, and Shayla's told me before too, or maybe I saw it on some of your other podcasts, which I do watch, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff. There was one in particular. There was a gal, I think from Colorado, who was talking about how she would start these different kind of book and movie clubs and with this, work with this church or whatever. And it was about these relationships with different groups. And I think that, oh man, I can't remember what I was going to say, but just that as you kind of develop these different, niches, these different relationships. I think that's what I was going to say. Shoot, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
What were we just talking about?
No, you're good.
It just
being a pillar of the community. And
Yeah.
like, at some point they'll start calling you too. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say is I always tell my group, it's like we're starting these different snowballs and some of them may start to grow, like, for example, I've wanted to do like a Western Wednesdays or something in this town. We do have a lot of horse people around us and so forth. And I keep thinking if we could just show classic Westerns and then maybe that little group will tell their friends and it'll maybe be a regional attraction that people will come, you come to the rodeo and then you got to stay for Western Wednesdays,
Yeah.
and you don't know, maybe we'll get old rodeo stars to come or film stars to come and talk, or whatever. And so each one of these little niches, whether it's our Christmas tradition or whatever, I think are snowballs. And then you just kind of watch them and you see, is there an appetite for this in my community? And then I think the hard thing is when there's one that you love, do you let that go or do you keep pushing that snowball until someone else likes it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Killing the darlings.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the darling. Yeah,
Mhm.
like my musical theater.
No.
So
Well, speaking of, we know you have a lot of projects besides training to be a contractor yourself. You got a lot of businesses and a lot of stuff going on. So how do you juggle that?
good question. My accountant tells me to start letting go of your C clients and focus on your A and B clients. And I will be honest, the theater is it's kicked my butt a little bit. I did not think it was going to be quite this time consuming. I think to the average person, you go, oh yeah, buy this theater, you press play, pop a little
Yep.
I hear that a
popcorn.
lot.
Yep.
Yeah. And
They learn.
Yep.
it's definitely there's a but I feel like it's slowing down. Like the game is coming a little slower to me now. Like I'm getting kind of like here's our routines.
Mhm.
But the truth is I've let go of some of the other work that I've done most of my career. But as the movie theater is we're getting routines now that we can kind of say, okay, we do A, B, and C, and then we can expect more or less these results. That's compartmentalized a little bit now for me. So anyway, I'm kind of returning to doing other design projects for people and taking on some more video projects and TV stuff. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that is, Shayla. I think you just keep your head on a swivel and try and maintain your health and don't work. We do have a joke, but me and my tech director, who's my brother-in-law, My wife's family is very talented in the arts, and so we have talented family on both sides. But they're the artists, they're the theater people, and he and I have a joke. Confucius say you can only burn the candle at two ends because we're always looking for that third end at 3 in the morning. If I could just
Yep.
have another gear I can go to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, we feel like my wife and I on the personal note are kind of trying to get our life back a little bit. The last 2.5 years has been quite a whirlwind. Our
Yeah.
kids have put up with a lot and a lot of missed times. We used to always be home in the evening. Now we're, gone a lot of times. And so we don't love that part, but I think sometimes you have to go through that to get it to where it's functional on its own,
Mhm.
you know. And my
Yeah.
mom who was an entrepreneur, she kind of taught me, you know, yeah, one of the ways to survive is to keep your expenses low by doing so much of it yourself. And so I think we're in that point now where we're trying to pass those things off or simplify the process to give us more time for not necessarily just other clients, but also family time and, you
Yeah.
know, recreation and working out. What was working out? I remember I used to do that.
Well, talking to some of my other clients, you'll get there, I promise. Most of my
In time.
clients do have time for themselves at some point in their
Yay.
careers. So, yeah.
Good. I look
Uh,
forward
S-
to it.
Steve, do you then want to share what your other businesses are with us? We'd be very curious to know more about everything else that you work on, besides the movie theater. You have your hands full so much, it seems like.
Well, thanks. I run two other companies. One's called Popcorn Media, and that
Mhm.
one's just kind of always been my film and television arm, where we do corporate videos, and I've worked on TV shows and all that. We also run a little camp through that in the summertime called Movie Star Camp.
Oh,
We
wow.
have we
Okay.
used to have like 20
Cute.
Yeah.
locations, and then COVID happened. So what was that?
That's just so
It
cute. I love it.
oh
Adorable.
we teach kids how to act for films, and then we make a little film. And for years, honestly, I'd been renting out theaters. We have a red carpet premiere at the end, and the kids, and so we have a whole curriculum that I kind of developed. I worked with a lot of kid actors when I was in Hollywood. I worked at like Disney and did stuff at Nickelodeon. So I coached a lot of kid actors, and so I kind of developed this curriculum of how to get good performances from them and how to make it comfortable for them. And so anyway, we have a camp in Chicago and Wilmette, Illinois. We have a camp right now in Alpharetta, Georgia. We do a couple here in Utah. But anyway, so that keeps us busy in the summertime. Um, and then my other business, which is just kind of fun, we call it Small World Studios. And it's basically a theming business, which I referenced earlier. And so we've worked on roller coasters, we've worked on museum displays.
Mm.
And that's every time we get a project, it's something completely different. We've done
Yeah.
40 movies in Korea. We've done, anyway, just wacky stuff.
Yeah.
And and so we build sets, we build props, we do video projections, we built animatronics before, theme rides and stuff. And so anyway, and then I'm a part-time musician, so that's kind of my other hobby. But anyway, so with all that, we hope if there's ever anyone listening who needs something fun, I work from home and I know the business, and so we'd love to help you. If anybody wants help with redesigning their theater or looking for wacky ideas, publicity stunts. One of my jobs in LA was to work for a big PR firm there, and so I was like their TV guy, and
Mm.
so we would I built in Mulan, Texas. We built the Great Wall of China to promote Mulan when it came out, or when
Okay.
So
when
cute.
like Grease came out on DVD. We did a big huge party with all the stars from Greece on the Paramount backlot.
Hmm.
Things like that. We built the biggest bowl of, I think it's still in the Guinness Book of World Record, the biggest bowl of spaghetti for Nintendo on the streets of San Francisco, and had people dressed as Mario and Luigi dive in to get prizes, with Buca de
Amazing.
Beppo. And yeah, so the ideas are endless, and I probably need to start doing some of those wacky things to promote our little theater, but we can certainly do it to help others. Anyway.
So
I think a big bowl of spaghetti in front of a movie theater is the way to go.
I
I
think so
I think
too.
that would get me to pull over.
Every night.
Yeah. Doesn't even have to be themed.
Or something Utah-based. What is it? Like funeral potatoes or something that come from
Oh, there you go. Well
Utah?
done.
Good pull, Shayla.
I know a
They'll
little
be like,
bit.
what's Anderson doing? Oh, he's got that big ball of funeral potatoes out again.
Same old, same old.
I would be there.
Must be a new movie.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to trying that. I just want to be honest.
Right.
This was one of the funnier things we did. We did a 50s thing, and I was like, how can we get like 50s cars out in front? And then it hit
Mhm.
me. I was like, why don't we just look in the classifieds for people selling 50s cars and say, hey, how would you like to park those in front of my theater? And
Yeah.
so we did. It was great. So
Yeah,
yeah, think outside the box.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's kind of the message that we always come away with talking to movie theater owners is that there's a lot of thinking outside the box.
Yeah, you have to be really creative, which
Yeah.
it sounds like you are, definitely. You got that down for sure.
Well, I'm like I said, I'm willing to learn from others too. I mean, I think so much with when you collaborate, and that's why I think it's cool you're doing this. I'm a student, will always be a student, and so if we can help each other and borrow ideas, I think most of us benefit from that. So keep doing what you're doing. You guys are killing it.
Yeah. Right
Yeah,
back at
so are
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for being a part of this episode with us. We'll make sure to link all of your other businesses in our description down below in case if people are interested or if helps you out with getting job prospects. But yeah, thank you also for just sharing your life experience and just what you've been doing with your movie theaters.
Thank you. And I just remembered, and my wife told me one thing to tell you all, so I'll leave you with
Yeah.
this. She said, make sure they know that because, well, first of all, we don't want to get in trouble. But secondly, I think it's good advice. One of the things that's been shocking to us, when we first started, I would call Shayla and say, hey, I need to, postpone our Saturday night thing because we're going to have a concert, right? And so it's
Mhm.
like, okay, now we're juggling between, and I hope we're not going over too much, but now we're juggling
Oh, you're
between
fine.
like movie revenue and potential concert ticket revenue. Well, then we started saying, really not by choice, but these bands were coming through town, and we'd say, "Can you do this?" They go, "Well, Steve, can you please squeeze me on a Tuesday? I got to be in Seattle, on Wednesday, or whatever." And so I go, "Okay, yeah, let's try it." And we found that the concert attendance was just as good on a weeknight. And
Okay.
so now, as we're moving forward, we're trying to schedule these other wacky things we're doing on those Tuesday nights or Wednesday nights or times when things are slower or in the seasons when things are slower,
Mhm.
October or February or whatever. And
Yeah.
and so I think moving forward, we're going to do more of that. And like when things are good with the movies, like in the summer, like just roll with it and
Yeah.
enjoy it. And then that's when we go to the beach.
Yeah,
Yeah. More family
exactly.
time. Exactly. Whatever
Yeah.
gets that, right?
Yeah, we get
Yeah. So
actual
anyway,
rest and leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So anyway, I just wanted to leave that last tidbit. So
No, we appreciate
Good
that.
tidbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again,
okay.
Steve.
Thank you,
All right, guys.
Steve.
See you around. Thank
All
you.
Bye.
right.
See
Bye.
ya. Bye. Peace.